If you're going to be doing depositions, hearings, anything via Zoom, it's important that you make sure that you have the right Zoom subscription and that you have the settings correct. I'm going to walk through the proper settings and subscriptions here in this video. First thing we're going to go to is Zoom itself. This is the screen that's typically brought up. You can check your profile. When you do, it'll bring you to the Zoom website. Now you can check plans and pricing by clicking there. And here are the 4 options that Zoom offers besides webinars and other things that won't be necessary for a law practice that's trying to conduct some depositions. The 4 options are basic, pro, business, and enterprise. I don't know a law firm that necessarily needs enterprise, and I don't think that you can get by on the basic program because you're limited to 45 minutes per session, and you're also limited on the things that you can do. We started out with the pro program, and for the most part, it got done what we needed to get done, but I tend to geek out a little bit on the technology, so I upped us to the business plan. Now it says $19.99 here, but that's pretty misleading because you have to have 10 hosts, as it says there, so you'll end up spending $200 a month, but it gives you some pretty useful tools. What I find most useful, and the reason that I wanted to switch to it, was because it allowed for cloud recording transcripts, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. It also gives you a lot of storage space for your cloud recordings so that you can not have to keep everything on your hard drive or move it over constantly. Now, that's the plan and the pricing. Let's look at the settings. Now assume we're about to go to a deposition. The preferences that we want to look at can be found by clicking on the top here where it says zoom.us and preferences. We'll start with the general preferences. I like to make sure that I'm using the use dual monitors. I think anyone this day and age, unless they don't have a dual monitor available because they're at a hotel or just somewhere where they can't find their dual monitor, they don't use it. But always make sure you can do that. And then really there's not much more on the general preferences. For video, I like to make sure that I have enabled the HD. That's important because it allows for better quality. It does take up a little more space, but you can move those to a hard drive. I like to make sure that I display the participant's name on the videos. And I turn off my video when joining a meeting. That way I don't just appear the minute I join. The audio selections, you can use different speakers if you'd like. I don't. Then you can use different microphones. Right now I'm using the built-in microphone with my computer. I have ordered a Bluetooth microphone and I hope to have that soon. I have found that when I'm interacting with my laptop, sometimes the sound doesn't come across perfectly. The shared screen settings, I make sure that I have inner full screen when a participant shares a screen. And I silence system notifications when sharing desktop. I'm sure you've seen people or been involved in conferences where someone hadn't done that and it keeps dinging because they get notifications when their email is coming through, or maybe they're using their phone and they haven't silenced it. The chat settings, there's not much to worry about. If you're going to have chat settings in a deposition, I would suggest that if you're hosting the deposition, that no private chats are allowed. Virtual background. So this is, everyone likes messing with their virtual backgrounds. You can have interesting ones like this. Be funny to see how the court responds to that. And then you can make virtual backgrounds pretty simply by creating a Word document and just coloring a page. To do that, just open up a new document. Go to Design, click on Page Color, pick the color that you want. Get the cursor out of the way by hitting Enter. And then what I do is Shift-Command-4, which is a screenshot. That screenshot is saved to my desktop. And then if I want to add a new background, I click the plus sign, Add Image, and then I select the screenshot that I just created. And now we've got that new background. Of course, adding in logos, that kind of stuff is a little more complex. I'll do a different video about that some other time. The recording settings, most of your recording settings aren't going to be on this window right here. They'll be on the website. But what you do want to check for is that you've optimized for third-party video editing and to record video during screen sharing. This can be done later. The rest of these over here, profile, statistics, feedback, keyboard shortcuts, I'm not going to address here. So let's take a look at our more advanced settings. So we'll click View More Settings. We can X out of that. The settings I'm going to be looking for in my more advanced settings, first start with the meeting settings. I make sure I don't have the host video on when it starts because I don't want to necessarily appear until I'm ready. You can click Start Video later. Same thing with the participants. I think everybody's allowed that choice, and the participants, I believe, can make that decision themselves anyway. I always allow for telephone and computer audio. When it comes to joining before host, I don't always have this selected on or off. If you allow for join before host, that means that the participants can join the meeting before you, the host, actually joins it. For the most part, I see no problem with that. The rest of these are a little more advanced, not necessary for getting started with a Zoom deposition. You can figure them out by looking at them later. I do require a password when scheduling new meetings. That way people can't jump into your Zoom meeting very easily. I'm sure they still could. Down here in the meeting settings is where you can change your chat settings. Here's where I discussed the one-on-one chats where I will not have this selected in a deposition, so I will have it as it appears there so that people can't have private chats. That's the primary thing I look for with chat settings. Co-host functions are important for you to be able to record to the cloud certain things that I'll discuss later. You need to be allowed to be a co-host. I've had some depositions where the opposing counsel is fine with me being a co-host, and others where I think maybe they just didn't know what that meant, and so of course they refused. It's something you may want to work out with opposing counsel before you talk with them or before the actual deposition starts. With screen sharing, the settings that you're looking for are allowing all participants to share screens. I see no problem with that. And then if you want to make sure that you can butt in as the host and share your screen, you'll need to make sure that only the host can butt in to share their screen when they so choose. Whiteboard functions, they're pretty cool, but you can actually do that with your trial pad application. Breakout rooms can be used. I have this vision of being able to conduct a jury trial via Zoom. You could create a breakout room that is used for jury deliberations, and so only the judge would be able to access it. Is where we would put the jury panel after trial is done, or I guess during breaks. I think that would be super cool. You can have closed captioning, so if you've got anyone that's hearing impaired, you can save the captions. And there's an option here where you can let someone access and control your camera. That's not something that I'd ever agree to doing. The rest of these I haven't gotten into too much. Of course, there's the waiting rooms that we discussed. The next settings that you want to go to are your recording settings. These are the selections that I have for mine, that I record the active speaker with shared screen, record gallery view with shared screen, record active speaker, gallery view, and shared screen separately. That's probably the most important. When I initially selected it, none of these were selected, so I had to go in here and choose which one I wanted. Record an audio file, and then to save the chats. I also make sure that I have a timestamp on the recording, and that I display the participants' names in the recording, along with recording thumbnails when sharing and recording the audio scripts. I believe, and I haven't confirmed this, but I believe you can't actually have record active speaker with shared screen and record gallery view with shared screen. I think that you have to have one of them chosen, but I go ahead and choose both. Now let's look at the recordings, because quite frankly, that's probably one of the coolest functions that Zoom has. So after I've done a deposition, and I've done one for this presentation, the depositions are saved to the cloud here, and it creates files. You can even share these files by clicking this button and copying the share information to your clipboard, and then sending an email to opposing counsel, the judge, whoever it is that needs the video. The files that we have are pretty cool. This first one is the one that I use the most, shared screen with gallery view.
All right.
This is the deposition that I did in preparation for this presentation. And as you can see, it starts out, because I'm not sharing anything on my screen with the deponent, it starts out with just me and my paralegal, who played the part of the deponent, asking questions and her answering them. The thing that you're seeing over on the side here is the transcription. And with this, you can actually search for words. So I know I said rec a few times. So if I type in rec, it goes to where I said rec in the video at 13 minutes and 26 seconds. And it actually takes the video to that part. So listen.
Yes. Exhibit 3, that's the police report for the wreck that you were on. That you were in on.
Another thing that you can do with this transcription, or with this option, is to click closed caption here, and then as it plays, the words appear on the screen.
Ma'am, would you please state your name for the record?
So another thing that you can do is edit the transcript. So if you see something that is wrong, you can change the word to whatever it is that you want, save it, and when it's played later, the closed caption here will show what you changed it to. So I did that earlier. I did it right here. Changed it to bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. The other videos that we have, the other options, are the speaker view, which just plays the person who is speaking, so you don't see the shared view.
Like what does?
the screen.
The other view is gallery view, which shows both people talking at the same time throughout the entire time. And then shared screen, which is only what I played through my trial pad without any video of the deponent. Your videographer, your video editor, whoever, can actually embed those together and make a better video than if you just used the video available here with shared screen and gallery view. But I also get a audio only recording, then I get an audio transcript. The audio transcript is in something called VTT format. I'll be honest, I've not figured out how to use this necessarily, but I've been told that there is some functions, some cloud programs that can do your transcript pretty well, or you, I guess, could just record the screen that's shown while playing this part of the transcript if you wanted to use that as impeachment evidence. Our ability to use these functions provided by Zoom, by TrialPad, we're just now reaching the capabilities, or we're just now finding the capabilities of this. I mean, it's so easy now to find perhaps something that you want to impeach a witness with. What if in deposition they say one thing and then at trial they say something else? I can easily locate these clips by searching for it and playing it for the jury at trial, or by all means if we ever had a Zoom trial. I know it may seem overwhelming, all the options and settings you have with Zoom and with TrialPad and with the Reflector 3 app I talked about in a different video. But if you'll just set aside some time here and there, mess around with it, don't be afraid to fail a little bit, make some mistakes, you'll eventually pick it up and you'll find that you're using it pretty effectively and that you're able to do the same thing via Zoom that you are in person. I'm always here to help. Feel free to reach out to me. My email is cstoy@hsjustice.com, and my office phone number is 817-820-0100. Thanks. Oh, and if you want to keep up on tutorials, I've got a YouTube channel that I post different tutorials on how to do things, and that's at Warriors for Justice is the YouTube channel. Find it there, subscribe, and you can keep up with videos. I plan on doing some about how to organize your documents for TrialPad, how to use the functions of TrialPad. Just give me some time and I'll get those batched out for everyone as well. Thank y'all.